Your life keeps showing you the same patterns, because reality is a reflection system you haven't learned to read yet. Every person who irritates you, every situation that repeats no matter where you go, they're not coincidences or curses. They're mirrors showing you parts of yourself you refuse to look at. What feels like external chaos is actually your own consciousness trying to get your attention. This isn't about positive thinking or manifesting better circumstances. This is about recognizing that the person who drives you crazy is reflecting something you've hidden from yourself. Right now, you're about to learn how to decode these reflections and stop fighting with reality. Once you see this, you can't unsee it, and everything changes.
This information landed in front of you right now because something in your awareness has shifted to a place where you can finally understand what's really happening with these patterns in your life. You're not randomly scrolling and stumbling on content. There's a reason this caught your attention at this exact moment. The fact that you clicked on this, that you're still here reading these words with a sense of something clicking into place, that tells me your internal world has been getting ready for this realization way before you consciously knew it was coming. You've been existing inside what people who study quantum mechanics call a reflection paradox. It's basically a sophisticated system where your reality works like an intelligent mirror, only showing you what you're actively avoiding in yourself. And here's the thing that's either going to set you free or make you want to click away from this video immediately. Every single person who gets under your skin, every situation that keeps showing up in your life, every pattern that follows you around, no matter how many times you switch jobs or move cities or start new relationships, none of it is random. None of it is bad luck. These are precise reflections of the exact parts of your own consciousness that you've pushed away into your psychological shadow because looking at them felt way too threatening to who you think you are. The universe isn't randomly throwing difficult people or tough circumstances your way. Reality functions as a quantum mirror that reflects back with laser precision the specific elements of your own nature that you won't acknowledge, accept, or bring back into yourself. This isn't just spiritual philosophy or some nice metaphor. This is how consciousness actually works, operating through principles that quantum field theory is only now starting to describe mathematically, even though mystics have been talking about this for thousands of years. Think about the last person who really triggered you. The person whose behavior made your blood pressure spike, whose presence created instant tension in your whole body, whose mere existence seemed like it was designed specifically to annoy you. Now here's what this quantum mirror concept reveals that's going to completely change how you see things. That person isn't in your life because of some cosmic accident or karmic punishment. They're there because they're reflecting back a part of yourself that you've rejected so totally you can't even see it as yours anymore. Your consciousness has gotten incredibly good at pushing unwanted aspects of yourself out into the quantum field, so good that you genuinely believe these qualities only exist in other people. You spot arrogance in others while staying completely blind to your own subtle feelings of superiority. You notice manipulation in your relationships while missing your own sneaky control patterns. You judge people for being closed off while defending your own viewpoints with absolute certainty. The quantum mirror shows you on the outside what you refuse to look at on the inside, and it's going to keep showing you these reflections with more and more intensity until you finally stop projecting and start recognizing. But here's where this quantum mirror thing becomes almost mystical in how precise it gets. The mirror doesn't just randomly reflect your rejected qualities. It creates specific life situations, brings particular people into your world, and sets up experiences with such intelligent design that they're custom made to help you see exactly what you need to see for your consciousness to grow. Every single reflection is a personalized lesson designed specifically for your awakening. The weird part is, you've probably noticed this pattern playing out in your life without understanding what you were actually seeing. Have you ever left a job only to discover that your new boss has the exact same annoying qualities as your old one? Have you ended a relationship because of certain behaviors only to attract a new partner who does those exact same things? Have you moved to a completely new city, trying to escape your problems only to recreate the same social dynamics in your fresh start? This isn't you having terrible judgment or the worst luck in the world. This is the quantum mirror following you everywhere, because you're carrying the unintegrated stuff with you in your consciousness field. The quantum mirror runs on a principle that Carl Jung discovered, and quantum physicists are now proving with math. Everything that shows up in your external reality is a projection of your internal consciousness. Not in that simple manifestation way that popular spirituality teaches, but in a way more complex way. Your consciousness doesn't just attract experiences. Your consciousness creates the perceptual filters through which you see all experiences. And those filters are built specifically to show you what you most need to see for your evolution, while also protecting you from seeing it too directly until you're actually ready. This is why two people can go through the exact same situation and have completely different takes on what happened. They're not just seeing things differently because of perspective. They're literally experiencing different quantum realities based on what their individual consciousness is ready and willing to see. Your quantum mirror shows you your version of reality that's perfectly calibrated to your current level of self-awareness and psychological integration. Right now, as you're taking in these ideas, something is starting to shift in how you perceive things. Can you feel it? That uncomfortable recognition beginning to stir in your awareness. That sense of your psychological defenses kicking in to protect you from seeing something your ego has worked really hard to keep hidden. That resistance you're feeling isn't proof that these ideas are wrong. It's proof that your quantum mirror is starting to show you what you've been refusing to look at. And your protective systems are trying to keep up the illusion that your problems are out there, rather than internal projections. Your quantum mirror has been running with perfect precision your whole life. But you've been reading its reflections as evidence that the world is against you, instead of recognizing them as consciousness, showing you exactly what you need to integrate to be free. Every person who betrayed you was reflecting your own self-betrayal patterns. Every situation where you felt invisible was mirroring how you refused to truly see yourself. Every experience of being misunderstood was showing you how you misunderstand your own complexity and show simplified versions of yourself to feel safe. The quantum mirror doesn't judge these patterns or punish you for having them. It just reflects them with increasing clarity until you develop enough consciousness stability to stop defending against the reflections and start seeing them as invitations to become whole. But here's what makes this process so hard, and why most people spend their entire lives fighting with their reflections instead of learning from them. The ego structure that you've built your identity around is specifically designed to keep you from seeing certain parts of yourself because your psychological survival system decided, usually very early in life, that these parts were unacceptable, dangerous, or threatening to your sense of belonging and safety. You learned as a kid that certain emotions, needs, desires, and qualities got you approval, while others led to rejection, punishment, or feeling abandoned. Your brilliant consciousness did what it had to do to make sure you survived. It pushed the unacceptable stuff into your shadow and created a persona that emphasized the qualities that kept you safe and connected. This wasn't a mistake or a failure. This was intelligent adaptation to your childhood environment. But what worked for survival when you were young becomes a prison in adulthood when you're still running those same protective patterns that block you from accessing your full, authentic nature. The quantum mirror shows up in your adult life as a liberation mechanism. It creates external reflections of your shadow stuff so you can finally see, recognize, and integrate the parts of yourself that you pushed away for survival, but that you actually need to be whole. Every trigger, every pattern, every problem that keeps repeating is the quantum mirror saying, "Look here. This is what you need to take back. This is what you need to accept. This is what you need to integrate to become whole." But most people don't get this language. They read their triggers as evidence that other people need to change. They see their patterns as proof that they have terrible luck or that life is unfair. They experience their repeating problems as cosmic punishment or karmic debt. And because they misread what the quantum mirror is reflecting, they stay trapped in cycles of projection, blame, and victimhood that prevent the very integration that would set them free. You've been doing this, haven't you? Be real with yourself right now. How many times have you blamed others for qualities that you yourself have but refused to admit? How many relationships have you walked away from because you couldn't stand seeing your own unintegrated material reflected back at you? How many opportunities for growth have you missed because you were too busy defending your self-image to recognize the quantum mirror showing you exactly what you needed to see? This recognition you're feeling right now, this uncomfortable awareness that maybe, just maybe, your external problems are internal projections, this is the beginning of quantum mirror consciousness. The moment when you stop fighting with your reflections and start learning from them, the threshold where you shift from victim of circumstances to conscious creator of your reality through shadow integration and self-awareness. But here's what I need you to understand before we go deeper. The quantum mirror isn't cruel or punishing. It's actually the most compassionate mechanism in the universe, because it never gives up on showing you what you need to see to be whole. It will reflect your shadow stuff through increasingly intense experiences until you finally stop defending and start recognizing. And while this can feel challenging or even painful, it's actually consciousness loving you enough to keep showing you truth, even when you're resisting it with everything you have. In the comments, write one word that captures what you're feeling right now after hearing this. Maybe it's recognition, maybe it's resistance, maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's something completely your own. Let that word be a declaration, a signal you're sending not just in this space, but into the quantum field itself. The quantum mirror principle works through what consciousness researchers call projection mechanics. Every quality that you can't accept in yourself has to be projected outward and seen as existing only in others. This isn't a conscious choice. This is an automatic psychological mechanism that protects your ego structure from being overwhelmed by aspects of yourself that feel too threatening to acknowledge. But this protection comes at a huge cost. It fragments your consciousness, drains your energy through constant defensiveness, and keeps you stuck in reactive patterns that block authentic connection and real creativity. Think about the qualities you most strongly judge in others, the behaviors that make you instantly angry or disgusted, the personality traits that you find absolutely unbearable. Now I'm going to share something that will challenge how you see yourself. But if you can stay with this recognition, it will transform your entire relationship with reality. Those qualities that you judge most harshly in others are the exact parts of yourself that you've pushed most completely into your shadow. The intensity of your judgment is directly connected to how much you've disowned that quality in yourself. You don't have strong emotional reactions to qualities that you've integrated and accepted in yourself. You only react intensely to reflections of what you've rejected. This is how the quantum mirror functions. It uses your emotional guidance system to show you exactly where your shadow material is hiding. Every trigger is a treasure map pointing to exiled gold that you need to reclaim for wholeness. But here's where quantum mirror mechanics become even more sophisticated. The mirror doesn't just reflect your obvious shadow stuff. It reveals your hidden shadow, the parts of yourself that you've rejected so completely that you've built your entire identity in opposition to them. If you take pride in being generous, the quantum mirror will show you your hidden selfishness through people who trigger you with their self-centeredness. If you've built your identity around being strong and independent, the mirror will reveal your hidden neediness through encounters with dependent people who irritate you. If you see yourself as honest and direct, the mirror will expose your subtle manipulations through interactions with people whose manipulative behavior you can't stand. Your identity isn't just who you think you are. Your identity is also everything you've decided you're not. And that negative identity, that collection of qualities you've rejected and disowned, is what the quantum mirror specializes in revealing. Because wholeness doesn't come from being only your positive qualities. Wholeness comes from integrating all parts of yourself, including the ones you've spent your entire life trying to prove you don't have. This is why self-improvement often fails to create lasting change. You can develop new skills, pick up new habits, and change your external behaviors. But if you haven't integrated your shadow material, you're just creating a more sophisticated persona that's still built on top of unintegrated consciousness. The quantum mirror will eventually expose the foundation, no matter how beautiful the structure you've built on top of it looks. I need to share something deeply personal because I know you'll understand what took me years of painful reflection to finally see. 6 years ago, I was absolutely sure that my problem was other people. I had clear evidence that I was surrounded by selfish, unconscious individuals who couldn't see beyond their own limited perspectives. I prided myself on being aware, evolved, and conscious, while everyone around me seemed stuck in ego and unconsciousness. My relationships kept failing because, as I told myself, I kept attracting emotionally unavailable partners. My friendships were unsatisfying because other people just didn't operate at my level of depth and authenticity. My career was stuck because the people in positions of authority couldn't recognize my unique talents and contributions. I had developed an entire worldview built on the foundation that I was aware and others were unconscious. I was authentic and others were fake. I was evolved and others were stuck. Then something happened that completely shattered my self-concept and introduced me to the quantum mirror principle in the most devastating and liberating way possible. I was in a heated argument with my partner, defending myself against accusations that I was being controlling and emotionally manipulative. I was outraged by these claims because I saw myself as someone who valued freedom and authentic expression above everything else. I launched into a passionate defense of my behavior, explaining with perfect logic why my partner was projecting their own control issues onto me. And then, in the middle of my defense, I suddenly heard my own words as if someone else was speaking them. I was explaining why my partner should think differently, feel differently, and behave differently in ways that matched my preferences. I was using emotional pressure to get them to see things my way, while claiming I just wanted them to be free. I was manipulating through logic and spiritual concepts, while strongly denying I was being manipulative. In that moment, the quantum mirror became visible. I saw with absolute clarity that everything I had been judging in others, I was doing myself. I thought I was conscious while staying blind to my own unconscious patterns. I believed I was authentic while performing a carefully constructed spiritual persona. I claimed to be evolved while defending an ego structure that couldn't handle being wrong or seeing its own shadow. The recognition was so painful that I wanted to reject it immediately and go back to my comfortable illusion that I was aware and others were the problem. But something in me knew that this was the exact moment I had been unconsciously avoiding my entire adult life. This was my quantum mirror reflection so clear and undeniable that I could either see it and transform or look away and stay trapped in my patterns forever. I chose to see. And what followed was the most challenging and transformative year of my life. I had to acknowledge that I was controlling, manipulative, judgmental, arrogant, closed-minded, and emotionally unavailable. All qualities I had spent decades projecting onto others while staying convinced they didn't exist in me. I had to face the reality that my spiritual development had become another ego structure, a sophisticated way to feel superior while avoiding genuine self-examination. But here's what happened. As I stopped fighting the quantum mirror and started learning from it, my relationships transformed completely because I stopped trying to change others and started recognizing their behaviors as reflections of my own unintegrated material. My creativity exploded because I was no longer using energy to maintain my persona and defend against reflections. My sense of inner peace deepened because I was no longer at war with reality, trying to make it reflect back a version of myself that matched my idealized self-image. The quantum mirror had been showing me these reflections my entire life. But I had been so committed to my constructed identity that I interpreted every reflection as evidence that others needed to change, rather than recognizing them as invitations for my own integration. And now that I understand how the mirror works, I can't unsee it. Every trigger, every pattern, every repeating problem immediately signals to me where shadow material is waiting to be integrated. If you're feeling that uncomfortable recognition stirring in your own awareness right now, if you're beginning to suspect that maybe your external problems are internal projections, then you're ready to understand how to work with the quantum mirror consciously rather than spending your life fighting with reflections. If this is landing for you, hit subscribe and the bell icon next to it. This isn't just a channel, this is a frequency of radical self-honesty. And we're building a community of people willing to see their reflections instead of fighting with reality. Here's what quantum mirror researchers and depth psychologists won't tell you directly, because it threatens the entire therapeutic industrial complex that's built on the idea that healing is a gradual process requiring years of professional intervention. The quantum mirror can reveal your shadow material instantly and completely, if you're willing to stop defending long enough to actually look at what it's showing you. Integration isn't a slow, gradual process that takes decades. Integration can happen in moments, when you're ready to see truth rather than protect illusion. The reason healing seems to take so long for most people isn't because shadow integration is naturally slow. It's because people spend years, sometimes entire lifetimes, defending against their reflections rather than learning from them. Every defense mechanism, every rationalization, every story about why your problems are caused by external circumstances rather than internal projections delays the integration that would actually resolve the patterns. But the moment you genuinely see your shadow material reflected in your external reality, the moment you stop defending and start acknowledging, yes, this quality exists in me too. Yes, I've been projecting this onto others while denying it in myself. Yes, this pattern is mine to integrate. Something miraculous happens at the consciousness level. The energy that was locked in the projection mechanism becomes available for integration. The aspect that was pushed into shadow can return to wholeness. The pattern that kept repeating to show you what you needed to see can finally complete because you've received its teaching. This is why some people seem to transform overnight, while others stay stuck for decades. It's not about how severe their shadow material is, or how deep their trauma goes. It's about their willingness to stop defending against the quantum mirror and start recognizing its reflections as truth rather than threat. Your shadow isn't shameful material that proves you're bad or broken. Your shadow is exiled wholeness waiting to be reclaimed and integrated. But here's the critical understanding that most shadow work approaches miss completely. You don't heal your shadow by fighting with it, analyzing it endlessly, or trying to eliminate it through spiritual practice. You heal your shadow by recognizing it in your external reflections, acknowledging it as part of yourself, and accepting it with the same compassion you'd offer a frightened child who's been hiding in the dark. The quantum mirror shows you your shadow through external circumstances, specifically because it's safer to see difficult material reflected externally before you're ready to acknowledge it internally. Reality is actually protecting you by revealing your shadow gradually through increasingly intense reflections rather than overwhelming you with complete self-knowledge before your consciousness structure can handle it. Every person who triggers you is a gift, even though it doesn't feel like one. They're showing you parts of yourself that you need to see, and they're doing it through reflection rather than direct confrontation with your shadow material, which would be psychologically destabilizing. The quantum mirror has perfect wisdom about dosage and timing. It shows you exactly what you're ready to see through reflections that are intense enough to get your attention, but not so overwhelming that they cause your defensive structures to completely shut down. But most people don't recognize this intelligence. They interpret their triggers as evidence that others are wrong, broken, or unconscious. They see their patterns as proof of victimhood rather than invitations to shadow integration. And because they misinterpret the quantum mirror's language, they spend their lives fighting with reality instead of learning from it. The quantum mirror operates through several specific reflection mechanisms that you can learn to recognize and work with consciously. The first is what psychologists call projection, where qualities you reject in yourself are seen as existing only in others. The second is reaction formation, where you develop exaggerated opposite qualities to compensate for shadow material you're afraid to acknowledge. The third is repetition compulsion, where you unconsciously recreate situations that reflect your unintegrated material until you finally see the pattern and integrate what's being shown. Understanding these mechanisms transforms your relationship with difficult people and challenging circumstances completely. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is this reflecting about me?" Instead of trying to change others or escape situations, you start recognizing them as quantum mirrors, showing you exactly what you need to see for your growth. Pay attention to the people in your life who trigger the strongest emotional reactions. They're your most important teachers, even if you don't recognize them as such yet. The person whose arrogance infuriates you is reflecting your own unacknowledged superiority. The individual whose neediness drains you is showing you your own disowned dependency. The colleague whose self-promotion disgusts you is mirroring your own hidden desire for recognition that you've exiled because admitting you want attention feels threatening to your self-image. Your emotional reactions are precision instruments that point directly to your shadow material. The more intense the reaction, the more significant the shadow material being reflected. This is why your strongest judgments reveal your deepest wounds and your most defended parts. The quantum mirror uses your emotional guidance system to show you exactly where your consciousness needs integration. But here's where the quantum mirror phenomenon becomes almost mystical in its implications. As you integrate your shadow material, as you reclaim the parts of yourself that you've exiled and projected onto others, your external reality literally transforms. Not because you've manifested something new, but because you've changed the consciousness filters through which you perceive reality. You're no longer seeing projections. You're seeing what's actually there. People who used to trigger you no longer have that power because you've integrated the quality they were reflecting. Situations that seemed impossible to navigate become surprisingly simple because you're not fighting with them anymore. Relationships that felt complicated and draining become sources of genuine connection because you're relating to actual people rather than to your own projected shadow material. This is the real secret of what gets called manifestation or attraction in popular spirituality. You're not attracting different circumstances through positive thinking. You're perceiving different realities through integrated consciousness. The quantum mirror shows you what you need to see based on your level of shadow integration. As you integrate more shadow material, the mirror reflects more refined aspects of yourself, guiding you toward ever-deepening wholeness. The ultimate recognition that completes quantum mirror consciousness is understanding that everyone in your life is simultaneously a real person with their own consciousness and a reflection of aspects of yourself. These aren't mutually exclusive realities. They're both true at the same time. This is the quantum nature of the mirror. It shows you yourself through others, while those others remain completely real and valid in their own existence. This understanding dissolves the spiritual ego trap of believing that if external reality is reflection, then other people aren't real, or their experiences don't matter. The quantum mirror operates through paradox. Others are both authentic beings, deserving of respect and dignity, and simultaneously reflections of your consciousness showing you what you need to see. Holding both truths at the same time is what creates quantum mirror mastery. Right now, the quantum mirror is showing you reflections that are perfectly calibrated to your current level of consciousness development. The people in your life, the situations you're navigating, the patterns that keep appearing, they're all consciousness communications designed specifically for your evolution. The question is whether you'll keep fighting with the reflections or start learning from them. In the comments below, I want you to share one belief you've been holding about someone else that might actually be a reflection of something in yourself. Be honest. Be vulnerable. This isn't just engagement for the video. This is you making a declaration in the quantum field that you're ready for shadow integration. When you share this with genuine willingness to see your reflections, rather than defend against them, you activate the quantum mirror's teaching function at a new level. The quantum mirror never stops reflecting. It's a constant consciousness communication system that operates whether you're aware of it or not. But when you learn to work with it consciously, when you stop interpreting triggers as evidence that others need to change and start recognizing them as invitations for your integration, everything transforms. You move from victim consciousness to creator consciousness, from fighting with reality to learning from it, from fragmentation to wholeness. Your willingness to see your reflections, to acknowledge your shadow material, to integrate what you've exiled, this is the path to genuine liberation. Not escape from difficult people or challenging circumstances, but freedom through recognizing them as quantum mirrors, showing you exactly what you need to see to become whole. Here's what quantum mirror researchers won't tell you directly. The material you judge most harshly in others represents your greatest gifts in shadow form. The qualities you've exiled aren't just problems to solve. Their power The quantum mirror is waiting to show you the wholeness you've been seeking by helping you reclaim the parts of yourself you've spent your life denying. The only question is whether you're ready to stop fighting with your reflections and start learning from them. Your entire life has been quantum mirror training, even though you didn't recognize it as such. Every trigger prepared you for this recognition. Every pattern equipped you to see reflections. Every repeating problem was consciousness persistently showing you what you needed to integrate until you finally developed eyes to see the truth. This moment right now, as you feel this recognition activating in your awareness, this is quantum mirror consciousness awakening. You're beginning to see that your external reality isn't happening to you. It's happening for you through precise reflection mechanisms designed to guide you toward wholeness through shadow integration. The revolution isn't out there. It's in here, in your willingness to see what you've been refusing to see, to acknowledge what you've been denying, to integrate what you've been exiling. The quantum mirror has been waiting for this moment when you're finally ready to stop fighting with reflections and start recognizing them as the most compassionate teaching system in the universe. Welcome to quantum mirror consciousness. Welcome to seeing your reflections. Welcome to the integration that transforms everything by helping you reclaim the wholeness you never actually lost, but only forgot how to see. Before we close, share this video with someone who's been stuck in the same patterns, blaming external circumstances for their internal struggles. For you, it might just be sharing content, but for them, it could be the recognition that finally sets them free. Your act of sharing sends positive energy into the quantum field that amplifies your own manifestation journey. The quantum mirror knows you're ready. The only question is whether you know it too.